Hilchas Eidus Perek Shvi. Now we're learning about the halachas of Kiyum Shtaris. Now Kiyum Shtaris means they have a star, and on that star there's a signature. Now the Eidim on the star, that signed on the star, are saying Eidus, that the star is a good star. The star was written Midas HaMeschayim. That's what the Eidim on the star are saying. Now the question is only, is this signature that says on the star actually a signature of the Eidim, which says in the signature, says Reuven ben Yankiv. Did Reuven ben Yankiv actually sign this signature? Or this signature is not really Reuven ben Yankiv's signature? So that's really an issue that has nothing to do with Reuven ben Yankiv. It's an issue whether this signature is Reuven ben Yankiv's signature, and therefore the star is a good star. So even though normally Kroivim aren't allowed to say Eidus, a Karev of Reuven ben Yankiv wouldn't be allowed to say Eidus about Reuven ben Yankiv, but over here, when this Karev is saying that this signature is Reuven ben Yankiv's signature, he's not saying Eidus at all about Reuven ben Yankiv. He's saying Eidus about the signature, that this signature is Reuven ben Yankov's signature, and therefore there's no psul of a Karev. Now, however, if Lamoshel, this person that's authenticating this signature, is a Karev to the people that are written in the star, there's a Lev and a Malva in the star, and now there's Eidim that signed on the star. Now there's people that are saying that this signature is actually a signature of these Eidim. So, and they happen to be Kravim of the people that are written in the star, so then they are Kravim to the issue at hand over here, because they're basically saying that the star, which has this signature, is an authentic star. So even though the Rambam earlier said, at the end of Perek Vav, the Rambam said, Eina dayochin tzichon liyas tzichon likris ashtar, shemekaimen say, because they're not really talking about the star, they're only also talking about the signature, but they can't be kroivim to the people that are written in the star. That's what the Gesem Mishnah says. Although l'chura, the Pashto Rambam doesn't sound that way. The Rambam says l'chura, it's irrelevant. The Ayonim don't have to know what it says in the star. But so the Gesem Mishnah said they don't have to know what it says in the star, but they have to know that the people in the star aren't their relatives, because ultimately they are authenticating a star which is negir to their relatives. So that's as far as being a karev to the people in the star. But as far as being a karev to the Eidim themselves, it's irrelevant. That's the first halacha. Perek Shvi. Meir hakarev al ksav yidei kreve. A karev could say Eidus about the ksav yad of his karev. Ketzad star she'ed of Reuven and Shimon, the star that Reuven and Shimon are written on it, signed on it. Umeisu echol chalom dinas hayam. And now ubo b'nei shel Reuven v'amar zek ksav yad shalavi, or ubo b'nei shel Shimon. So now you have a son being made that this signature is their father's signature. So the din is Harei Krishnei Eidim, She'inam Krevim, they're considered like Eidim that aren't Krevim, and therefore V'im Nitztaref Imoim Shlishi, V'heid Al Ksav Yidei Shnei Marin Niskayim Mashtar. Whereas each one is only one aid. So knows the son of Reuven is an aid on Reuven's signature, and the son of Shimon is an aid on Shimon's signature. The fact that he's a son of Reuven is irrelevant, because he's not talking about Reuven. He's talking about that this signature is actually his father's signature. And Shimon, the son, is saying this signature is his father's signature. Now we need another aid to mitztarev to these Eidus. So if Reuven and Shimon themselves would come and they would say it's my signature, then we wouldn't need any other Eidim. Mashenkin over here, the son of Reuven says that it's Reuven's signature. The son of Shimon says that it's Shimon's signature. So b'chiyai gavni, you need a third person, another aid, to say also that this is Reuven and Shimon's signature, and then this star was authenticated. Halacha beis. Ve'elu midvarim shnemonim hagdoilim lahoyed begodlam mashiro bekotlam. Now normally when you say Eidus, first you have to be a god when you say Eidus, and you also have to say Eidus about something that you saw when you were a godlam. Eidus normally says what he saw, when did he see it, so he has to say it while he's a godl, and he also saw it when he was a godl. Now there are certain things, there's certain kulas, that we say Elu mi'edvarim, a Mishnah, that these are the midvarim, that namonim to say when they're a godl, what they saw when they were a cotton. And one of them is to say Zek Savyodi Shalavi. So Behamshel, the Ram just said that a person could say Zek Savyodi Shalavi, and there's no concern of being a karev, because it's not negate to the Avi, speaking about the Ksavyad, not about the father. So that's one din. Now we're saying another din, that Ve'elu midvarim, this Haggadah's Eidus about saying, about the Ksavyad, authenticating the Ksavyad is midvarim, shnemonim hagdelim lohoid begodlam, mashiro bekotlam, from what they became aware of when they were a cotton. Naman odom leimer kshu godel, zeh Ksavyodi shel Abba, v'zeh Ksavyodi shel Rabbi, or v'zeh Ksavyodi shel Achi, Shayisi Makir Biksav Yodam Kshayisi Kotten. Whereas right now he had nothing to do with his father's signatures when he was a Gadol. So mainly he can't say that he remembers his father's signature as a Gadol. He remembers his father's signature as a Kotten. When he was a Kotten, he used to see his father's signature. And now he remembers that this was his father's signature. Now he's looking at the signature. I remember that this was my father's signature. Mainly saying Eidus that this is his father's signature. So even though he found out about it when he was a Kotten, but nevertheless he could say Eidus now about what he knew when he was a Kotten. But v'hushi instead of acher shemakir ksav yodam shul gadol. This kula that he could go ahead and say what he knew about when he was a Kotten is only one of the Eidim. You would need two Eidim. Whereas he's only one Eid. Like we said before, you need two Eidim to authenticate each of the chsimas. So he's only one Eid. He's not. Whereas then the father would come zek ksav yodi, so you wouldn't need another Eid. But over here, the son is coming, so you need another Eid to mitzaref with him. That other Eid can't be someone that's saying now what he knew when he was a Kotten. One of the Eidim could be someone that's saying zek ksav yodi shalavi, zek ksav yodi shalabi, zek ksav yodi shalaki. Masha'ik, and the other Eid has to be someone that recognized the ksav yad based on what he knew as a Gadol, not based on what he remembers when he was a Kotten. Halacha Gimel. Now Halacha Gimel really is going to be Halacha Agdama to Halacha Dal. Everything that says in Halacha Gimel we know already. When two people come along and they want to authenticate a shtar, so you have the two people have to say Eidus on both chsimas. On both chsimas. In other words, you have to have two Eidus on each of the chsimas, unless it's the original Eidim. But normally you have to have two Eidus on each chsima. So if you have Reuven and Shimon come along and say Eidus, there's Reuven and Shimon signed on a shtar, and the pale Eidim are coming along and saying Eidus on Eidus of Reuven and Shimon. So you need both Eidus to say that it's the ksav yad of Reuven, and two Eidus to say it's the ksav yad of Shimon. If you have one Eid that's saying it's the ksav yad of Reuven, and you have another Eid saying it's the ksav yad of Shimon, that's not enough. You're going to need another Eid. So you'll have, let's say, these two Eid, and one said that it's the ksav yad of Reuven, the other one said ksav yad of Shimon, and then you have a third Eid, which is going to say that it's the ksav yad of Reuven and of Shimon. So mainly we have two Eidus on each of the signatures, and that's fine. That's a pashta din. Now there's going to be a davar mechudish that when l'moshel you have Reuven and Shimon assigned on the shtar. Reuven comes along and says, "This is my ksav yad." So he says, "This is my ksav." That's fine. That's fine. So he authenticated his ksav yad. Now, as far as Shimon is concerned, if Shimon would come and he would authenticate his ksav yad, it would also be fine. But Lepel Shimon is not here. So now on Shimon's ksav yad, we have another Eid saying that this is Shimon's ksav yad, but we need another Eid. So now Reuven, which is the other Eid is one of the Eids on the shtar, he says, besides the fact that this ksav is my ksav, this other ksav is Shimon's ksav. Now the question is, could Reuven work as an Eid on Shimon's ksav, and together with another Eid, he should be mitzdaref, so it will be pashtus. Why not? Reuven and Shimon are signed on the shtar. Reuven says and authenticates his own chsima, there's no problem. Now Shimon's chsima needs authentication. So now Shimon, we have one Eid to say about Shimon's ksav, and we'll also use Reuven. Why should Reuven be a problem? So here there's a new din that since Lepel Reuven is really like saying about his chsima, he's authenticating his own chsima. And now he's also authenticating, so to speak, Shimon's chsima. So Mela comes out like Kilu, 3/4 of the shtar is being based on one Eid. There's a Reuven and there's a Shimon. And Reuven is an Eid and Shimon is an Eid. So now, but Reuven is acting as an Eid because he's the Eid. He's an Eid on the shtar. So, like, so to speak, half of the shtar is based on him. And now he's also half of Shimon. So it comes out Kilu, 3/4 of the shtar is being based on Reuven. And that's a chsar in the din of Kiyum. That's the din that we're going to learn in Halacha Dalet. Halacha Gimel. Shtar she'ed of Reuven v'Shimon. If you have a shtar which the Eidim are Reuven v'Shimon, ubo shnayim ve'ilu shnayim shezek ksav yodeh shel Reuven v'zek ksav yodeh shel Shimon, that's Pasha, this guy Mashtar. So then you have Kiyum. Avalim heid zal ksav yodeh Reuven. If one of them was made on Reuven's ksav, v'asheni heid al ksav yodeh Shimon, is leinis guy Mashtar. Why? Lefish etzorach shnei Eidim al ksav yad echad mishnayim. So on each ksav yad, we need two Eidim. Over here we only have one Eid on one ksav yad, one Eid on the other ksav. And therefore, v'im yesham shlishi made al ksav Reuven v'Shimon ke'echad. If we're going to have a third Eid, which are going to say Eidus about Reuven's and Shimon's ksav, so we have one Eid about Reuven, one Eid about Shimon, and then we have a third Eid about Reuven and Shimon. So we have two Eidus on each ksima. Is Niskayim Ashtar, which in Niskayim, so that's all Pashat L'chura. Now, Amar Harishan, Harei Zek Ksav If one Reuven comes along and says, "This is my Ksav Yad," so l'chura his Ksav Yad is mekuyim. Now the Heid Hu V'Acher, he and someone else are being made al Ksav Yidei Hasheni. They're being made on Shimon's Ksav. Reuven is saying, "This is my Ksav." Now Shimon is not here, so Reuven plus someone else is being made on Shimon's Ksav. So over here is Lein Niskayim Ashtar. The Shtar is not mekuyim. Why? The fish nimtza shleishus rivi amam shabishtar toli beidus echad. Because since it's coming out that Reuven, he's like 3/4 of the shtar is based on him. Because he said about his Ksav Yad, so he's like half of the shtar, and now he's also involved in saying about the Ksav Yad of Shimon. So in Mela, that's a chsarn. And not only is it a chsarn if he speaks about Shimon's Ksav Yad, if he's part of the Eidus that speak about Shimon's Ksav Yad, you can't even have his Karev saying Eidus about Shimon's Ksav Yad. Whereas Reuven is saying Zek Ksav Yadi. For Shimon, you need another, either Shimon should say Zek Ksav Yadi, or you should have another two Eidim, which are not Kravim to the person that, to Reuven, which is B'Mekayim his own star, his own Ksav Yad, to be Mekayim Shimon's Ksav Yad. V'chein, im heid Achiv, Ebnei Sharishin. If the Achiv Ebnei Sharishin was made im Acher al Ksav Yidei Hasheni, it's also Leinis Kayim. Because it comes out, Sharish Leishis, Rivi Amamen, Toli Beidus Akrev. Since Lepel comes out, the 3/4 of the Mammon are being taken out by Reuven plus his Karev, so that's a chsarn. Reuven can say Eidus about his Ksav Yad, Shimon can say Eidus about his Ksav Yad. You could have two Eidim saying about both Kisva Yad. You could have one Eid saying about one Eid saying about the other, and a third Eid saying about both. But Reuven himself should be saying Eidus about his own Ksav Yad, and Sai be mishtativ with someone else about Shimon's Ksav Yad, or even if his Karev will be mishtativ with someone else about Shimon's Ksav Yad, that's no good, and that's not kiyum. Halachei. Shnayim achsum al shtar. You have two people sign on a shtar. Umes echad mem, and one of them died. So how are you going to have kiyum? So the person that's alive could say Zek Ksav Yadi. Masha'inkin, the person that died, you're going to have to find another two Eidim to say that Zek Ksav Yadi. Reuven, the one that's alive, can't be mishtatel, like we just learned. Is Sarach Shnei Eidim L'hoyed al Ksav Yadi Shalmes. Now, Imlei Niltza, Ella Echad, Eid Echad, Im Zeho Eid Hachai. Lepel, we don't have another two Eidim. So all we have is, let's say Reuven and Shimon. Shimon died. Reuven is alive. Reuven can say Zek Ksav Yadi, and Reuven can be mishtativ in the Eidus on Shimon's Ksav Yad, because there's only Reuven plus someone else. So the question, but that's not going to happen, like we just learned in Halacha Dalet. So what's the Eitzah? Vimle Nimtza Ela Eid Echad Im Zeho Eid Hachai. So there's Eitzah Zazeh. Instead of the Reuven coming along and saying Zek Ksav Yadi, another Eitzah. He signs his signature in front of Eidim. Afilo al acheres, on a piece of shard. No, it's not the gear what he's signing on. He signs his signature. Umashlichi bebezin, and brings it, it comes into bezin. It has to be written on something which you cannot go ahead and make a star out of. So that's why they ask Kakash, what's this afilo al cheres? The chur of the verse is it should be done on a broken piece of shard, something that you cannot make a star out of. But I'll call upon, he makes a signature. So now Bezin knows his signature. You have two Eidim saying this is his signature. So now when we're going to come to the star, this is a star, as I think he signs his signature on a piece of cheres, and now comes to Bezin. So now Bezin is aware of his signature. So now when they're going to come to Mekayim that other star, and there's going to be an issue about his signature, there's not going to be a need to be Mekayim his signature, because Bezin is aware of his signature. And therefore, then he's not going to need to say Zek Ksav Yadi, because that'll be obvious to Bezin. And then, since he didn't have to authenticate his own signature by saying Zek Ksav Yadi, so now now he, with someone else, can go ahead and say Eidus about the Ksav Yadi Ames, Ksav Yadi Hu Shalem Yipiv. His own Ksav Yad will be in the sky without him saying anything. Because if he would have to say something about his own Ksav Yad, so that was the problem, that 3/4 of the Mammon are being based on his testimony. Here he's not saying anything about his Ksav Yad. His Ksav Yad is Bezin knows about. Mashenk and the other Ksav Yad, that's what he's authenticating. So even though he's really an 8 on the star, because we're talking about the star, how is the star happening? The star is happening through him as well. But that's not the issue, because Lepel, if we're talking about the Eidim on the star, there's two Eidim on the star. He's not 3/4 of the Eidim on the star. He's one 8 on the star. If we're talking about the authenticating of the star, So that's the authenticating of the star in the previous case when he said about his ksav yad, and then he also said about the other ksav yad. So 3/4 of the money was in the authentication of the star was being done through him. Masha'inki now that there's no authentication on his ksav yad because his ksav yad is known by Bezin because Lepel he already signed. So then there's no problem. All he does is mishtativ in the authentic. His ksav yad needs no authentication because Bezin knows about it. Knows you don't need any Eidus, so to speak. No, not they don't need authentication. You don't need any Eidus in order to authenticate it because Bezin is aware of it, so they could authenticate it without Eidus. And as far as the other ksav yad, so he's involved in the Eidus of the other ksav yad. Halacha Vav. Shleisha sheyoshvu l'kayim sashtar. You have 3 people sitting down to make kiyum, and shnayim mehem makim nechsius leidim. So if all of them know the chsimus leidim, they could just go ahead and sign that they recognize the signature. They're being makayim the star. They're being makayim the star. But if only 2 of them know, shnayim mehem makim nechsimus leidim, ve'echad eini makir, and the 3rd one doesn't know the chsimus leidim, so actually chasmu, before anyone goes ahead and signs the kiyum, at this point in time, only 2 of them know about the amitis hashtar, and the other one doesn't know. So they really wouldn't have a right to sit down and start signing a ksav kiyum because lepel is not mekuyim. You need to have 3 dayanim that are aware of the kiyum. So how are they aware? Or they're all aware b'etzem, or they're aware because Adam told them. But over here, there's only 2 people that is aware. So actually chosmu, before there's any chsimas, is me'idin befonov. So the 2 that know about the chsima, that recognize the chsima, could say Eidus to the one that doesn't know, and lepel v'chesim. Why? Sha'edim nasan dayonim b'davar shu midivreim k'mesha b'yana. The whole idea of kiyum shtaris is a drabanan. So here, these Eidim are acting as Eidim and they're acting dayonim at the same time. Now over here, there's even a bigger chiddush because before we're talking about there's maybe it's the same chiddush. Lepel, these Eidim are acting as dayonim b'pashtus also while they're being Eidim. Whereas lepel, you have to be makabel Eidus b'fnei shleisha b'pashtus. So Mamela, so these Eidim are saying Eidus in front of this one, where the other 2 dayanim. The Eidim are say Eidim say dayanim. So it's a Eid nasa dayan. Not only first he was an Eid and then he was a dayan. Over here, while he was acting as an Eid, he was also acting as a dayan. But I'll call upon that's the din. If you have 3 people, 2 of them recognize the chsima, the other one doesn't. So these 2 people could say Eidus in front of the 3rd person, and then all 3 of them together could sign on a kiyum. But if 2 of them, the 2 people that recognized the chsima, started signing before they said Eidus to the 3rd person that didn't recognize, and they really had no right because they weren't yet a bezdin. They can't come along and say Eidus in front of him and they'll chasmu. Why? And while they were signing, there was only 2 people that recognized the signature. So in other words, you can't really sign this ksav kiyum unless there's a bezdin that's in the midst of being mekayim. In other words, when there's a bezdin that knows the fact that it's an emes shtar, that it's a good signature, so then they start signing. But if the 2 people started signing before there's a bezdin of 3 that knows that's not a proper kiyum, that's a kiyum that's a kiyum that was done shalei halacha. So again, you have 2 that know, you have 2 that know and 1 doesn't know. So the 8 says the 2 that know should say Eidus to the 1 that doesn't know, and now you have 3 that know, and then they could go be Mekayim it. But if the 2 that know started signing on the Kiyum, and then they went ahead and they said Eidus to the 3rd that didn't know, so their signature was a signature not of a bezdin, because at that point in time there was no bezdin that knew. There were only 2 people that know. Memela, it's not Mekuyim Kaloch. Halacha Zayin. Shnayim shoyu chsum al ashtar umesu. So we have 2 people signing on a star umesu. Now ubo shnayim v'omru ksav yodem uzeh aval anusim hoyu ktanim hoyu psuleides hoyu. There's a stack of their ksav yad, but on the other end, it's not a good star because lepel they were either ktanim, anusim, or psulim while they signed the star. Is aval pi sheyesham edem acherim shezek ksav yodem ishay ksav yodem yetze mishtar shekorel v'ir v'huchzik bebezdin. So this star was a star mekuyim. So we had before a case where a person comes along about his own star, and he says that that was ksav yodi aval anusim hoyu. And now we learned that ein chezer magid. But if the star wasn't mekuyim, so then he could be chezer magid, and then the star becomes a star bottle. That's what we learn when a person comes about his own star. But so if it's a Mekuyim Dik star, he can't say anything because of the din of Eini Chezer Magid. Kiva Sheged Sho Eini Chezer Magid. Over here, we're not talking about the person himself. We're talking about other Eidim. So we have a star Mekuyim, and now there's other Eidim that are coming along and saying that this star is Takar Star Mekuyim. However, they know that these Eidim were Anusim, they were Ktanim or Psulim. So the din is Hareza Leiniskayim. So the Rambam says this has a din of a star that's Leiniskayim. Ella Mamidim Ashtayim Shebishtar Kineged Ashnayim Shehid Olav Shem Psulim Ve'en gave him Biklum. So it's considered like Trey or Trey. In other words, there's a star, and the star is saying that the story happened. And the posture of the star is that there's Eidus. The star represents Eidus. Now there's other Eidim that are saying that the star is not a good star. So even though L'chura, the Eidim are saying about the star is no good star. So L'chura, the Eidim are saying the star is not a good star. So L'chura, who's the Eidim that are saying the star is a good star? So the Pashtus Advarim is that the Cheskes HaStar. In other words, there's a rush about it in Ksubis that discusses that the Pshat is, when you have a star, and the star is a star Mekuyim, it's Kilu, there's Eidim saying that the star is good. So even though there's other Eidim that are coming along and saying that the Eidim on the star were no good, so L'mashal, if you'd have two people come along and say Eidus, and then you have another two people coming along and saying that the Eidim that said this Eidus were Psulim. So it wouldn't be a din of Trey or Trey, because since the second pair of Eidim are speaking about the Eidim and not about the Eidus, so the Churisa would be, you would believe the second pair of Eidus. Because the second pair of Eidus are being postling the first pair of Eidim. And legabi that, there's no one to contradict. The Eidim can't contradict about themselves with these second pair of Eidim. So if you have two Eidim that are coming along and said something happened, Reuven lent Shimon money. Then you have another two Eidim that are coming saying that these Eidim that said that Reuven lent Shimon money are Eidim Psulim, the Gazlonim. So then the star becomes, the Eidus becomes bottled because the Eidim became bottled. Over here, L'chura, the same thing. You have a star, and the star says this and this, and you have Eidim signed on the star. So L'chura, now the other, so L'chura, you have Eidim on what it says in the star. This whoever signed on the star. Now you have another pair of Eidus that are coming along and saying that the people that signed on the star were Psulim. So if they would be around without a star, so then we would believe the second pair of Eidus. So L'chura over here, let's also believe the second pair of Eidus. And now we're saying no, that since Lepel, these Eidim signed on a star, so there's a din that Cheskes a star has a din like Eidus. Kilu, once we have a star, there's like Eidus saying that what it says in the star is kosher. It's true. You have other Eidim that are saying fakert, and based on the fact that they're saying that the Eidim on the star were psulim, we don't look at them that they're passing the Eidim shebishtar, and memela the star becomes bottle. There's Kilu, another two Eidim against the star. So there's two Eidim of the star that are saying the star is good, and memela the star has a din of Eidus. And then you have two Eidus fakert that are saying fakert, so there's a din of trey or trey. So that's the Havanas Advarim, that even though they're saying the Eidim were psulim, it still has a din of trey or trey, which needs further explanation. And also, we see that the Lashon HaRambam is Hareza Eini Mekuyim. It has a gather of a star Sheini Mekuyim. L'chur, it's a gather of trey or trey. Whereas there's a musik of a star, which is Becheske star kosher, but it's not Mekuyim. Then you have a star which is Mekuyim. And now we have another star, which there's Eidim saying that the star is not a good star. There's Eidim saying that the star is not a good star. So the Rambam is saying that star, which there's Eidim saying that the star is not a good star, has a gather Hareza Leinis Kayim, that's how the Rambam calls it, Hareza Leinis Kayim, and Mamid Mashtar, Hashnaim Shebishtar, Keneged Hashnaim Shehidu Aleim Shem Sulim, and therefore Vein gave him Beklum, but he gives the Hagdara to the star, a star She'eni Mekuyim.